Welcome everyone. Thank you so much for staying in the room with us. I know we're running behind schedule, but we have a treat for you today. My name is Emily Truong. 我的名是吴怡萱，5医酸。科西凯，您知影科西凯是啥物人无？你妈妈。Yeah. 科西凯 is actually my mom's cousin. And it took my mom a very long time to tell me that I was related to one of the leaders of the Taiwanese independence movement. And so I did the 2009 Miss Taiwan pageant. And then after that, I participated in TACL's Taiwanese census campaign. And so I still have that t-shirt to write down that you're not Chinese, you're Taiwanese. So growing up, my parents and my uncle always say, if anyone wants to call you Chinese, you tell them you're Taiwanese. This is Taiwan. And so, and I used to work for Taiwan Center. I used to go to FAPA programs. I used to attend Formosa Foundation programs. And I was a journalism internship program coordinator for Lai Hui Na. And so he grew into the Taiwanese community because she wanted there to be more leaders, young generation, Taiwanese American, to be more active in the community, to show their Taiwanese pride. And so, and then after I got involved with Truong 2 years in a row, well, I'm just doing introduction. And so I was so happy when I met all of these awesome individuals in the community. Victoria, Maryanne, they both did the 2022 Miss Taiwanese American pageant, and I was so impressed with them when I saw them on the pageant stage and what they stood for. And then Huang here is my friend since elementary school, since 5th grade, and he's now a psychiatrist. Elizabeth Yang, she's a lawyer, and she loves to talk about how people can have better relationships through communication. And she's a wonderful advocate in the community. So I'm so happy to have this panel here today, and thank you, Ken, for allowing us to have this space. I have been a support group facilitator for 10 years because all I want is to create safe spaces for people to be able to share how they're feeling without judgment. And so, so some of the questions that I have today are all about ourselves. So, some of the questions, do you have okay, so thank you. So, first of all, let's go in order. Who are you and why do you care about mental health?
Hi everyone. Well, first off, I want to thank everyone for being here and for staying and to listen to us talk. My name is Victoria Huang, as Emily had just introduced me, and I'm a sexual assault awareness advocate. I'm also currently a law student studying to hopefully found my own nonprofit to help survivors of domestic violence and sexual assault. So the reasons I care about mental health is I've had personal experiences with PTSD, and from that, depression and anxiety. When I was 18, when I was in undergraduate, I was sexually assaulted by someone who I thought was my friend. And it was in 2020, so as everyone knows, that was during the time of COVID-19. And of course, COVID-19 didn't really help my situation. I wasn't really, well, no one was able to go outside, but being outside kind of helps with my mental health. So having to stay indoors, not being able to see my friends really affected me. Although I was really lucky that I had a friend at the time who was staying with me before she went back to Korea. But at the time, I practiced self-harming, and also I had a lot of suicidal ideations. It took me a long time to be able to heal, and I was able to find a lot of people from my undergraduate school who also felt like they weren't supported by my institution. And stuff that I've done before, I've volunteered at the Center for the Asian Pacific Family, and I've also done a TEDx talk with my good friend Maryanne here. Something that's really important for me is advocating for mental health awareness, especially in the Asian American Pacific Islander community. And I think being here today, it's very important to talk about mental health and the difficult stuff, because if we can't talk about it now, when are we ever going to talk about it?
Hi, thank you everyone for attending this conference. My name is Maryanne Peng. I'm 36 years old and proud to be Taiwanese American. For the longest time, I felt like I myself was not good enough to be Taiwanese. I'm from Taiwan, but I didn't have any of those qualities that you see that Taiwanese people expect. But my mental health journey started when I was 6 weeks old. I had life-saving surgery because I was diagnosed with a condition that happens to newborns. There is no cure. It affects the liver, and it's still happening to kids these days. So my mental health platform is talking about addiction recovery and medical trauma, because we all face trauma. It doesn't necessarily, it has to be medical, but for me it was, ever since I was 6 weeks old, I've been in and out of hospitals and pumped full of antibiotics and steroids. And because of all the medications that I took as a newborn all throughout my childhood and my young adult life, it really negatively impacted me. I experienced all the side effects: mood swings, depression, and anger. I felt a lot of anger as a child. At 6 years old, I was sent to anger management. And so my parents, who are very traditional Taiwanese, my dad is 81 years old, so they have the very old school mentality, 那个古代的想法. And then, so it was really hard for me to grow up in a household where we didn't talk about our feelings, how we were feeling, seeing me fail and being punished for it. So I started my healing journey 4 years ago. I found gut health. Gut health saved my life, learning more about what our body can do from the inside to help support us to become more resilient, because we all go through stressful situations. We all go through stress. It doesn't matter if it's low stress, high stress. Stress is bad for our body. The more stressed out we are, the more we feel sick. People get anxiety, inflammation, all those. And so for the last 4 years since I joined MTA during my healing journey, and it's really given me the confidence to be not ashamed of myself, and to not be ashamed of myself from not graduating college, for being a Taiwanese American who's been arrested 5 times. I've been in jail before, but I'm here today sharing my story so that I can help other Taiwanese people who feel like there's no hope. Because I know we don't talk about it, but drug addiction is big in Taiwan too. And we're treating these drug addicts like criminals instead of giving them a real solution to help them feel better. So this is why I'm so passionate about mental health.
One thing before Paul goes is I think that it's very brave of you for you to share with us your experiences, and because not everyone has that courage to be able to share that they've ever been to jail, and because like everyone goes through different difficult times in life, so I think it's so brave and courageous for both of you to be sharing your stories here. And another thing I also want to mention is that on this panel, The only mental health clinician I have here is Paul. He's a psychiatrist. And the reason why I have other advocates here on this panel is because the panel advocates make a huge difference in the mental health field, because clinicians are not always able to advocate as well as patients, clients, people who receive services. And so know that you don't have to be a clinician in order to be in a helping position when someone is in emotional distress. Everyone goes through emotional distress. If only our communities could be one that is of compassionate, empathetic listening. We are a society that listens to react, to listen, to respond and fix without trying to understand. Can we please be a community that learns to listen, to understand, ask clarifying questions if you have any questions, and because we want to promote more conflict resolution, communication skills. There's such an art to communication, and if we don't start somewhere, like Victoria said, where are we gonna go? So go ahead, Paul, you're next.
Thank you for having me. I'm Huang, psychiatrist in Chicago. Anything more nuanced, I'm gonna use English. 不过我会尽量用台语跟中文哦。我伫芝加哥做精神医科，我day job is a residency program director。我的负责连其他像住院医师系统当我嘛做student admissions for the medical school I'm with。我差不多小学是为台湾大到美国倒来遮附近，就从大学我就伫芝加哥底下读册，过训练，什么去底下。Let's see, I got into psychiatry because it's a scientific mystery. We don't know why people break the way they do mentally yet. I do this thing where I help people feel better about feeling bad. When people are stressed out and they talk to me for some terrible reason, I can help them contain it. So it's a natural fit for psychiatry. And of course, I also very much enjoy training residents and teaching residents. And I'm glad to be here today with all of you.
Hi everyone, my name is Elizabeth Yang. Thank you all for coming today. 大家好，我是杨安丽律师。谢谢大家今天来参加我们的 mental health panel. I'm an attorney in Monterey Park. I specialize in family law, specifically divorces and restraining orders, child custody cases. And my law firm is on Garvey Avenue, right across the street from the mass shooting last year, the most devastating mass shooting in the history of Los Angeles. Where my dance instructor was killed along with 11 other victims. This was the dance studio that I would walk across the street every Monday to go barroom dancing. And so this was very devastating for a community because the shooter was a mental health victim himself. He had gone to the police department to report that he believed he was being poisoned 2 weeks before the shooting happened by his family members. And as a divorce attorney, I see mental health issues in my clients on a regular basis. People that are going through divorces, it's a very challenging time. Majority of my clients are Asian, and in the Asian community, mental health and depression, anxiety, none of that is spoken about. I personally have experience because my own father committed suicide when I was only 3 years old. My brother was not even 1 year old yet. And our family never spoke about what happened to him. So I grew up in a family not knowing where my own father was. And I never found out what happened to him until I was 21 years old. So my entire childhood was spent wondering, you know, if my dad is still out there, what happened to him, was it a car accident, was it cancer? No one spoke about it because in the Asian community, challenges, mental health issues like this are embarrassing, and people don't want to share the truth. They hide it under the rug and they pretend it never happened. But essentially, this actually makes mental health issues worse instead of processing it. So in the last year, in the aftermath of the mass shooting, I created a nonprofit organization called Asian Minds Matter, AMM. Emily sits on the board, and we're actually having our first kickoff event later this month on Monday, July 29th at NBC Seafood. And our mission is to promote mental health awareness in the Asian American community so that challenges like this, where families and individuals face this on a regular basis, are spoken, that people know vulnerability is a strength, not a weakness, and we can prevent future mass shootings from happening. Thank you.
Thank you for mentioning the mass shooting, Elizabeth, because you know, it affected me so greatly too. Liz and I were both featured in a documentary about the Monterey Park mass shooting and how it affects people's mental health. How do we heal as a community? And so one thing I did learn over the last 2 years, like my dad, he passed away a few months before the Monterey Park mass shooting. He went unconscious on August 26th, 2022. And it was a hard day for me. My heart sank into a dark black hole, and I didn't know it could come out. But one thing I have learned about our Asian communities is that the way we grieve is not through words. We grieve through flowers, through artistic expression. I was featured on the front page of the Pasadena Star News on February 1st last year after the Monterey Park mass shooting, and this is what this is. And so one thing that I started doing as art, I started doing floral heart mandalas. And all these rose petals came from the Rose Hills when my dad had the funeral, and the Rose Hills, they asked me, do you want these flowers that were in your dad's casket? I said yes, and then I made this just outside my garage. And I took a picture and I showed this at my art show last year. After the Monterey Park mass shooting, I did another one. This one took me 3-4 hours to do for the community. And so I just kept on doing this type of art, and then singing and dancing, because visual and performance art, I now tell everyone, ever since my father passed away, the sleeping artist woke up. So, anyways, let's go to our next question. So, how receptive were your family and friends and community members when you decided to acknowledge that mental health is part of your field of expertise?
So I was really lucky that my family and friends and even community members were really receptive when I decided to acknowledge mental health. I've had friends in Taiwan, most notably one of my really good friends from kindergarten actually supported me throughout my mental health journey, and also he supported me when I said that I wanted to do a TEDx talk, and just supported me throughout whenever I said that I wanted to do something about mental health in Taiwan. But over here, like I would say most of my friends were definitely supportive. My boyfriend was very supportive when I said that I wanted to be a part of this panel, and when I said I wanted to do my TEDx talk, it's actually right there filming us, volunteered to film us. Even though I was really lucky in that, also my family members are supportive. We don't particularly talk about it with the older generation of my family, but at least my close family members, my parents, my brother was supportive. They attended our TEDx talk through Zoom when we were doing it. And even though people were really receptive towards me acknowledging mental health, I have encountered some dismissive attitudes towards mental health. But the way that I deal with that is that I just try to tell them that we never really know what people are going through. Some people just need a little bit extra support, and everyone needs support sometimes. Everybody needs help, but there are just some people that needs a little bit more help, at least in their current state. I guess with what I have experienced in my life and with the positivity that came with when I acknowledged that I wanted to work on mental health in the community, I'm very positive about the future of mental health both in Taiwan and in the United States, and talking about it and getting that conversation started. Thank you.
For me, family support, I'm still working on it, but I found a lot of support through community and friends, especially through the Taiwanese community. I really got involved with Taiwanese American Professional Network in 2020, and I feel like I've known the people I met in TAP for more than 10 years, but it's only been like 2 to 3 years. At first, I was really ashamed to tell my peers that I'm a recovering drug addict, I don't have a professional career, and I've been in jail a few times. And so, but they don't judge me for that. And I think that's what's helped my healing process throughout these past 4 years. And even though I've said my family's not supportive, they're slowly becoming more supportive. My dad, every time I had a breakdown and stuff, he would just go, oh, and all this stuff. I was like, but I'm not crazy, I just don't know how to express myself. I didn't know how to say what I was feeling because I was taught that we are not supposed, right? But so I held everything in, and that's what my family has a history of mental health. I have an aunt who did commit suicide recently, and like Elizabeth, no one talked about it. I didn't know she committed suicide. I was wondering, where did my aunt go? Because last time I talked to her, she told me, oh, come over and pick out the clothes you want, and that in itself should have been assigned to me, but I was still in the beginning of my recovery when that happened. So mental health support it's really important to have people around you that really understand, but they don't judge you for your mistakes, and just to be more accepting. For all the Taiwanese parents out there and grandparents, like if we fail, like it's okay to fail, because the more you fail, eventually you're gonna reach success. You can't succeed without trying, right? So yes, I'm really thankful for my Taiwanese community, and I'm thankful for my parents, even though it's been really hard to change their mindset. They're beginning to understand more the importance of mental health and not faking it till we make it. Yeah, I used to fake it till I made it. Everybody's like, oh, these are but it was so hard. It wasn't natural. I had to pretend that I was happy. Now 我臭咪咪是真的。
So I answered this question 100 times in 100 different ways, but I prepared a special answer for this conference in its theme. Okay? So when I chose to go into psychiatry, because out of med school you choose what specialty you go to, the reaction was very neutral. It was very average, because at the time I chose the profession, the reimbursement rates for psychiatry was extremely average. So it wasn't like excited, but it also wasn't disappointed. It was just neutral. However, in the last 5 years, mental health and psychiatry has really gained prominence, not just in terms of social prominence, but also how much value that companies and society put into it at a very material level. And so right now, the field is definitely gaining resurgence. To tie that back to the theme of the Taiwanese American conference, everyone in this room is smart. Everyone in this room is a first-gen immigrant, and so you can also assume comfortably that your kids and grandkids are also smart. When they choose their professions, they're not just doing it based on what they're passionate about. They're also going to do it based on what they can earn a living doing. Okay? And there's going to come a time when whatever they choose to go into gets some prominence. For instance, right now, there's a lot of talk about having police and law enforcement leadership and pay advances for people who are bilingual in fields such as in any field, really. There is going to come a cycle when something gets a bump, and you can trust that your kids and grandkids have made good decisions. That's it.
So growing up, my brother and I, of course, we always wondered where our father was, and we would ask our mom here and there, like, where's Dad? In the Taiwanese culture, children are seen and not heard, and so my Taiwanese mother was very good at dodging questions. And when our friends would come over for birthday parties, play dates, they would also ask, where's your father? How come we never see your dad? And my mom always told or classmates' parents that, oh, my husband is always busy working, and that's why he's never around. And my brother and I didn't know what else to say, so we grew up following her footsteps. We would always use the excuse that our dad is busy working, and that's why he's not there. So for the longest time, the first 20 years of my life, that was the story that I knew and that I told others. When I turned 21, I finally sat my mom down and I told her that I really would like to know the truth about my dad. And she was very uncomfortable, she was very reluctant and unwilling to share the truth. But I think she thought that I was old enough to finally know, so that's when she finally told me. But as an advocate for mental health today, I don't get much support from my Taiwanese family because till this day, my mom is still very ashamed about what happened. She takes responsibility for the suicide that my father did, and till this day, I don't believe she's fully processed it. And my family, when I share about it with the community, they always ask me, like, why do you share with the community? This is such an embarrassing thing that happened in our family, where it's not something that we're proud of. Taiwanese culture, we're all about saving face, looking good, trying to protect our image. So they ask me, why do you share about this publicly? It's not good for your reputation, as an attorney in the community, as someone who's running for Moderator City Council. People can use this against you. And I share with them, authenticity, vulnerability is a complete strength in our community. And that's the stigma that I want to change by continuing to share about what's happened to me in the past.
Thank you so much, Liz, for that. Because, when I started my journey of doing mental health advocacy, in 2013, there was a legislative briefing with Congresswoman Judy Chu, former Assembly Member Mike Ng, former Assembly Member Ed Chow, And when they wanted feedback at the end of the legislative briefing, I decided to go to the podium and I said, I will not end my life because I have a story to share. The more we talk about mental health, emotional resilience, the more we will alleviate the stigma. There is no shame, there is no shame. We are all human beings with emotions, feelings, and we just need the safe spaces to be able to vent, share how we feel, stop covering it up. And I know that the model minority myth is so strong because as immigrants, we're just trying to survive. And we don't want to stick out like a sore thumb, which I know I am today. Because by sticking out like a sore thumb as a green butterfly, you know, I use the attention that I receive to give it back to the community. Because I used to represent the California mental health movement when it used to be called Each Mind Matters. Meaning that every single human being is a person of worth. If your heart is beating, you are alive. It doesn't matter what your socioeconomic status is. Rich, poor, middle class. All of us. I went to church some time ago and the pastor said, we're all in over our heads. And none of us have life figured out yet. We are all, each and every single one of us are still figuring out life. We are all works in progress, and we are all learning how to face this life and create meaning each and every day. So I'm so glad we're having this conversation. Okay, next question is, what are your coping skills that help you while handling your everyday challenges?
So some of my coping skills are just honestly doing stuff that I enjoy, working on my hobbies, going outside. Some of my hobbies are I like to watch movies, go horseback riding, go to the gym, spend time with my two cats, Aquila and Einstein, and also baking and cooking. I guess one of my favorite things is cooking or like baking for someone who I've never done before because just the look on their face when they're trying my food, and if they like it, the smile is something that honestly I'll never forget that feeling. It's an incredible feeling. And the best part about the end of my day, at least most weeks, is that I get to go and see my horse Oscar, and I get to ride him. Horses are used as therapy a lot of the times for autism and other stuff, but I'm no doctor, so I will leave that to the psychiatrist. But at least for me, it provides a lot of the relief and joy that I need at the end of the day after a stressful school day or a stressful work day. And it helps combat like depressive episodes or anxiety. Another thing that I really enjoy is when I'm with either my friends or my boyfriend or just people who I enjoy being around and talking to them if I'm ever feeling sad, if I ever feel like I need to talk about my feelings. I know that my friends are always there for me. I think that just time to decompress after a day, even if it was a good day, just having time to relax, time for yourself is very important. So I always make sure that I at least have an hour or two at the end of my day to be able to do that, be able to watch a movie or just do something that I enjoy. Thank you.
So there's a bunch of index cards that I brought today, and if any of you, and if we run out of time, if any of you have questions, I want you guys to answer, write your questions on this index card, and Hillary's gonna, raise your hand if you have a question for any of us, and you want to write it down, and we probably will run out of time, but you can write your questions on the index card, and then you can give it to us with your name and contact information if we run out of time and you want us to answer your question. So yeah, let's keep going.
Okay, so the question is, how do I cope? I used to have negative coping mechanisms. That's what led me to self-destructive behaviors. Since I've been working on my mental health, I've been following a system which is called, I put my pain into action. So I joined MTA, I joined CAP-OC, and also in 2022, I organized a mental health town hall with the Mayor Irvine, with Victoria by my side. And so that's, for me, coping is just doing things that make you happy. I play water polo 4 times a week, and I go to the gym 3 times a week. And moving your body is the best you can do for your mental health, at least 10 minutes a day. So there is this acronym that I follow since I've been in recovery, which is called SENSE, S-E-N-S-E. The first S stands for supplementation. So I take probiotics, which is 益生菌, and the right probiotics, the right supplements can help support our body to be more resilient from the inside out. The second one stands for exercise. So how often are we moving our bodies? It could be yoga, meditation, you can go on a walk, anything that you can move your body instead of just sitting around. And N is for nutrition. What are we putting into our bodies? We all know that the more we eat processed food, the more it is bad for our health. So I try to stick to really rich leafy greens and really foods that have a lot of phytonutrients and stuff. And then E is for evaluation. I self-reflect every couple of months to see where my mental health is at, what can I do to improve more, and who can I talk to give me that support. And then the last S is for sleeping. I missed the S. It's for sleeping. I know that as Taiwanese Americans, we really push ourselves to do as much as we can and to get as much out of that as we can. And we put a lot of pressure on ourselves to be successful. And so we're known to work a lot of overtime. And then because of us working overtime, we don't have that time to take care of ourselves at the end of the night. And the most important thing we can do for ourselves in mental health is getting a good night's rest, so sleep. How much are you sleeping? This is what I have been doing for myself, and I feel like it's been working really well. So, okay, sorry.
Okay, so I think we already went over doing things for ourselves, self-care. So I'll talk about doing things for others as a way to build resilience. Resilience 的叫做回弹性。One of the things we can do is having a purpose that's bigger than ourselves. I think everyone in this room already knows that because I'm sure we sacrificed quite a bit for your kids when they were growing up, for education or whatever, and we're all in this conference to talk about Taiwanese topics. And so having a purpose beyond ourselves can help you focus on that rather than whatever's going on right around you. For instance, COVID, 2020, 我哋之前都我唔是驚死，我是驚講嗱，等下係時候 的迄个台湾角色为拢落倒打，迄是我是惊迄，所以我前迄阵迄个每一顿顿来 ，every single meal I only eat like Taiwanese food. I want to make sure that they have the money, the support that to keep existing. So that's for instance, like this time flying back, I'm tired. The school year just started. We just started new residents. You know, it's a really rough time. But coming back, the thought of being able to share this with Taiwanese folks and to put money into the Taiwanese community to buy Taiwanese food, fantastic. That's my resilience, and that's one of the reasons I've been overcome that. Thank you.
I love that. I always know the phrase, the getting is in the giving. So giving and volunteering for the community is a great way to cope with mental health. Another thing that hasn't been touched upon is reaching out for support and communicating what's going on through our minds. A lot of times, folks that are going through challenging times keep it inside of them, and the thoughts just circulate in their heads, and suppression actually leads to depression. So I share this phrase, expression counters depression, because when we share our thoughts and we get it out of our system, it supports our mental health. Whether it's talking to a trusted friend or getting a counselor or having a support group. I personally have a morning coach that I speak to first thing I wake up every morning. Before I even get out of bed, my alarm goes off, I pick up the phone, and I talk to my morning coach for about 10-15 minutes to set my intention for the day, express my gratitudes for life, and also vent any negative energy that I might still be holding on to from the previous day. I'm not typically a morning person, I'm more of a night owl, so this helps me create my morning routine and sets the tone for the rest of my day. So if you guys are also not morning people, highly suggest getting a morning coach.
Yeah, coaches can be so helpful. I have one myself, and he's an African-American life coach, and he really came into my life at a divine timing, because after the Monterey Park mass shooting, I reconnected with him at the site, and he basically became like a father I never had, because Asian fathers can be quite silent, and they don't know how to articulate how they feel or what they're experiencing in life. And so happy to have someone who I could openly share my struggles with without judgment. So finding those safe people to be able to open up, to share how you're feeling is very important when your family members don't understand. Because a few months after my dad passed away, I went to Taiwan with my mother for 3 weeks, and I just started crying because I thought about my father, and then she looked over without even asking me why I was tearing up. She just said, "You're too emotional." And that can be seen as an insult. And at that time, I didn't know how to respond, so I just turned my head so that she would not see my tears. And so not everyone is a safe person to be able to open up to, but that's where you have to figure out who is a safe person. And so one quote I like to share is by John Lennon. Being honest may not get you many friends, but at least you'll get the right ones. Because it's very important to find the friends who have the similar value systems as you to have in your life. And so that's very important. Okay, and for me, coping skills, I love to dance. Monterey Park is having an electric dance open to the public in October. It's so much fun. This was an article of me dancing, being the first person dancing on the dance floor. Another one, last year in this same space at the NATWA conference, the keynote speaker was a person who saves endangered black bears in Taiwan. So because 我的台湾话甲中文无真认得，我就just start drawing. And so this is what I drew last year in this space, in this room. And so also another Recovery International is a very good support group that I have attended over the years. I do have brochures with me if you're interested. It is self-help cognitive behavioral training. And so it helps you to, a few coping skills from their list that I love is endorse yourself for the effort, not just for the performance. We are a very performance-oriented society, and if you don't get that 100%, you just think you're a failure. No, you still have to pat yourself for every single effort you make moving forward, because it means you are at least trying. Try, fail, try, fail, try, fail, succeed. You just keep on persevering. And so other coping skills they have is people do things that annoy us, not necessarily to annoy us. Or sometimes trivialities, like if you make a mistake and you misplace your wallet or your keys, you're like, where did that go? Oh my goodness. And you might start to think, oh, I'm such an idiot. Where did I find all my stuff? And then you slow down, take a breath, and tell yourself, other people do this too. They misplace their belongings all the time. So you're not alone. So it's okay. And learn to be able to have grace for yourself and forgive. All right, next question is, because we're running out of time, is what message would you want to leave with the audience and the next generation about mental health?
I think Emily already kind of mentioned this, but I think it's really important to just talk about it. I know as Taiwanese people, we like to keep things to ourselves. We don't like to talk about mental health or talking about our feelings or expressing them. I think it's really important to be able to talk about it, to acknowledge when you need help. And like Emily said, there's no shame in talking about it. In fact, it's actually strength if you're able to talk about it. There's absolutely no shame to be able to find that one trusted family member or trusted friend to speak about your feelings. Trust me, it will make you feel a lot better to not have all these emotions bottled up. And something that I find really important is to be able to take a breath from your day, to be able to take that time to decompress, to take that time to say, hey, I need a minute before going on to whatever you're doing next. And something that's, like I said, to just talk about your mental health and keep that conversation going about mental health, because as we talk about it, it becomes part of a normal conversation, and hopefully we'll be able to destigmatize it.
Okay, what I want to leave with everyone is be more open to different solutions for mental health. Definitely things like therapy, art, music, and also supplementation. I know for me that taking the right probiotics has really helped me heal from the inside out. Our bodies are very powerful. The gut is very powerful. If you guys just look up gut-brain axis, I don't know if Hillary knows how to say that in Mandarin, gut-brain axis, gut health, the microbiome. Sorry, Hillary. But the gut microbiome plays an important part in our overall physical and mental health. And as part of my coping recently, I did get certified as a mental wellness gut health coach, and that is how part of my coping mechanism, what Paul said about being a giver. I want to become that servant leader and really just help people feel better. And yeah, and for everyone, it's okay to cry. Especially for all the men in the room. Even right now, I have a newborn son. He just turned 1 year old, and Ama spends a lot of time with him. But Ama always tells him, and he's a baby. Why are you telling a baby not to cry? So for all the men in the room, it's okay to express when you're feeling sad, when you're feeling stressed out, when you're feeling like you have nothing left for you, or you just feel down. And crying can actually take away some of those feelings. So.
我来补一下中文哈 ，gut brain axis， 因为我本身是营养师，是那个肠道轴，就是呢肠道的细菌呢可以影响到你大脑的一些情绪的反应，所以呢肠道细菌的健康，肠道的健康啊，也会对于你的那个大脑一些情绪控管啊有一些帮助。那么这个是一个比较新的研究，嘿。
谢谢。
I'm going to use the little time we have left to answer a question. Please address the disconnect between first generation and second generation. I can take that. So we use the word stigma a lot. It's easy to say, the Taiwanese American community has a lot of stigma against mental health. And so, we've said enough about having the first generation understand the second gen. But I think what doesn't get said enough is the second gen should also try to see where the first gen is coming from. Because when we say stigma, there's a blatant implication. The first gen, they're not trying hard enough. Same thing goes with the African American communities that I work with in Chicago. Huang understanding, I think that's the key. Don't blame each other, start with an open mind and go from there.
Great advice. Yeah, I think we definitely should try to understand the former our parents' generations as well. The message I want to leave everyone here with is just to spread the word and share that therapy and counseling should not be frowned upon. A lot of times people are embarrassed to say that I have a therapist because it makes it feel like, oh, maybe something's wrong with me, that's why I need therapy. But I hope everyone can start sharing the word that therapy is normal. Everyone should be in therapy. Everyone should have a coach and a counselor because it's healthy for us. It's, we all deal with challenging things on a daily basis. If someone comes in and says, my life is perfect, I have no problems, no one's gonna believe them. So, even in a marriage, because I'm a divorce attorney, so having a marriage counselor should be a regular thing amongst couples. My husband and I, we've been happily married for 13 years, and we have a go-to marriage counselor. Anytime we have any conversations that are challenging, that we can't figure out ourselves, we go to our marriage counselor. And by sharing that I have a marriage counselor doesn't mean that, I'm gonna be going through a divorce or have a bad relationship. It doesn't mean that. But a lot of people feel like it does. My mom, when she has issues with her husband, I encourage her to get a marriage counselor. And in her mind, this is the first generation, which I'm still working on understanding. She will say, I'd rather get a divorce than go see a marriage counselor, because if I need a marriage counselor to help my marriage, why even be in this marriage? So that's the difference between the thought process between the first generation and second generation. But I'm hoping that more and more people will start seeing counseling, coaching, therapy as a normal part of life.
Yeah, seeking out that help is very important. I actually facilitate support groups for a group called NAMI Glendale, the National Alliance on Mental Illness, and sometimes I like to refer to mental health, or I don't like the phrase mental illness actually, because I don't know, I like to say mental health diagnosis or mental health disabilities, but one very important thing is that just because we have a disability doesn't mean that there's something wrong with us. Everyone has strengths and weaknesses, and I think that being able to maintain your mental well-being is all about balance. And like yesterday, I shared my picture of art, a yin and yang. And life is about taking the bad with the good with the bad. You cannot have the highs without the lows. You cannot understand happiness without sadness. And so I think that when we seek help, then there is hope. Then you don't feel alone. We don't want you to feel alone. So if you need any resources for your loved ones, I facilitate support groups, and we're going with Asian Minds Matter. We're going to offer more support groups and spaces, safe spaces for people to share and find community, because we need that. We need that healing. So thank you so much for joining our mental health panel today.
OK， 大家我们接下来呢，下一个节目呢是在讲。
在我介绍下一个节目之前呢，我想要特别感谢今天参加我